decided to reveal the first expansion for Age of Conan at Gamescom, which is one of the biggest consumer gaming shows in the world. Not only did this give us a good opportunity to showcase the expansion to the hundreds of journalists from all over the world who attend the show, but it also gave us the opportunity to show the expansion to the over 200,000 gamers who also dropped by the show. So what we did was basically build a giant stand on the show floor where people could come by and check out the expansion. And in addition to actually setting up several computers where gamers could play the expansion for themselves, we also had our developers doing large presentations in front of massive audiences where they presented the locations and monsters and quests and features that you will find in the expansion.
Then you can take a cub from the den and begin to train it as your own. And you have to teach it to kill, you have to teach it to stalk, and you have to teach it to hunt.
Being there at Gamescom also allowed our developers to see the reactions from the gamers as they first experienced the expansion, and I think that feedback that we got there from the gamers themselves has proven very, very valuable to us.
With Rise of the Godslayer, we're taking the players east to the land of Kitai, and it'll allow the players to explore this mysterious new continent and really go on a voyage of discovery in these strange lands that haven't really been explored before by people from King Conan's kingdoms.
It's about bringing the principles of Conan to a completely new setting, the Oriental setting. It's about involving players in a completely new story far away from the place where they began their journey.
Far to the east, beyond the devil-haunted towers of Zamora and the wind-tossed waves of the Vilayet Sea, lies the vast empire of Kitai, my empire.
I think when we went to choose which area we looked at for the expansion, Kitai was always quite high up on the list. While we always try and base things in Howard's original writings, Howard only mentions Kitai a couple of times, and so we were looking through the stories trying to figure out where we should set an expansion, but then the team came up with a great storyline, taking one of the original Howard stories, The Tower of the Elephant, and how it ties in to Kitai, and how we can tell a really great Conan story in that setting.
It begins with Conan 25 years ago. He killed the elephant in the tower as an act of mercy, but it unleashed chaos on Kitai. And so the player gets drawn in to Kitai through a series of intrigues that are going on. And then the player basically will have to find out why the people of Kitai hate Conan so much and then try to rectify that situation. Or, if they choose not to, they don't have to either. They can do other things. There's many, many threads, many, many storylines, of course.
In addition, this time round with the storytelling, we're trying to use some additional techniques, things like visual storytelling, so that the players will see events that happen in the playfield that give little pieces, bits and pieces of the story as they go along that isn't just from the great dialogue, voice acting and quest text.
In Kitai, we've done several things along those lines. I think the common one that everyone's seen is the Conan effigy being burned, but there's much more along those lines. We have meteorites falling from the sky, and when they explode open, there's demons inside. We have, changes of the guard on the Great Wall. We have different events everywhere, which will hopefully bring the world much more to life as well, but also tell parts of the story as you go.
We very much wanted to look towards kind of ancient China and ancient Korea as the inspiration for the visual look. It was something we didn't want to use the Japanese influence, as we felt that's been used quite a lot in games, and we wanted to do something a little bit different. And so we've asked our artists to really look to ancient China and ancient Korea, and we've even sent some of our team over there to visit the ancient sites that exist to this day, so that we can provide a very authentic Oriental feeling when the player is travelling around in Kitai.
Oriental style fits very well with what we're hoping to show with our game. I think it's bright and colourful, but it also still captures that gritty edge of barbarism and captures the Conan spirit. So I think that's mainly why we decided to go to the Orient. And I think the other part is that we also wanted to be able to create this interconnected sort of world where all the pieces fit together. And I think that moving the expansion to an area which wasn't perhaps as well mapped out as the original areas were adds to that feeling.
The players will find a lot of new content. There's going to be 5 massive new playfield regions, all with associated dungeons, and in the final playfield with endgame raid content. So there's going to be a whole lot, literally hundreds of hours of new quests, encounters, dungeons for the players to explore. So they can look forward to a lot of great new things to see and do when they get to explore Katai.
We've added new exploration mechanics for people, you know, things like buried treasures, things to find in the playfield, shrines to pray at. Obviously there's new mounts, new enemy types, there's a whole new type of combat system with the alternate advancement. We've added new types of NPC abilities, which means that NPCs fight in different ways and players will have to be strategic in the way they approach things, to say the least.
With the new mounts that we're adding in Rise of the Godslayer, we very much wanted to do something a little bit different. And we wanted to do it in a very Conan-esque way. And I think what the team have come up with these new epic quest lines where the player actually goes out, finds a cub and rears it as their own pet over time before it can finally become a mount is really something that the players are going to find very interesting.